tell you about our day. Should I tell you about the day first? Yeah. My little conversation with a nice gentleman named Vladimir Putin. But we had, actually, we had a good talk. And I think that progress is being made. 5,000 young soldiers are being killed every single week on average. Can you believe 5,000? And it's actually a number probably worse than that, in addition to other people that are being killed in towns. And we're trying to stop it. It's a bloodbath. It's an absolute bloodbath. I've seen satellite pictures that are so bad, so horrible, and it's to think that in this day and age we're living with this horrible thing that's going on, and we're doing the best we can. This was not our war. This was not me. We're doing something from the last administration. How they allowed that to happen? It wouldn't have happened. It would have never happened. And you know, the Ukraine-Russia wouldn't have happened. But I'll tell you what else wouldn't have had. October 7th would not have happened. This was a terrible thing also. A lot of bad things happened in the last 4 years. But good things are happening now. We had a tremendous visit in the Middle East. We went to Qatar. We saw the Saudi Arabia, all the top people in UAE. And we brought back about $5.1 trillion. That's not bad. That's not bad. And it's being credited as one of the maybe the most successful visit that anybody's ever made to any place. There's never been anything like this. Hundreds of planes, big wide-body planes ordered. Boeing, getting them from Boeing, but I think an order of 148 planes. That's a lot of 777s. Those are the big ones, or the 787 Dreamliners, and orders of everything. The AI is going wild. I hope it's as good as people say, because otherwise some people are going to be pretty disappointed, but it seems like it is. A lot of smart people are doing it. But massive orders into our country. We did 1.4 trillion in one case. We did 2 trillion in another case, numbers that nobody's ever really heard of before. And our relationship is fantastic with those 3 beautiful places. I mean, they're incredible. Money is like no place else probably anywhere. Well, we have more money, but we didn't use it right, but that's all right. Now we're starting to. We were losing in trade $5 billion a day, and now because of tariffs and other things, we're making $1 billion a day, and the tariffs haven't even really kicked in. It's a big difference. It was, for the last 4 years, have been a disaster for us with trade and, frankly, with everything else. So we're here for a different reason tonight. We're going to have to fix this one, too. We're fixing everything. We're going around Mr. Fix-It, Mrs. Fix-It. Anybody want to join me? But the Kennedy Center, when I said I'll do this, I hadn't been there. That's the last time I'll take a job without looking at it. And but it's got a tremendous amount. Lindsey Graham and some people put in the budget either 200 or $250 million. Money was spent there. Tremendous amounts of money was spent there over the last 10 years. I don't know where they spent it. They certainly didn't spend it on wallpaper, carpet, or painting. And they had over $200 million was spent. So I don't know what's going on. Pam, are you here? You hear that? Look, when I hear that, I say, what? Where, Pam, where did all this money go? It's crazy. It's crazy what's happened with our country in that regard. You know, it's to build things. Go back to the Wollman Rink. They went for years, 12 years, without getting a rink, and I got it built in 3 months for a fraction, like a tiny fraction. They had spent over $20 million. They never got it opened. I said, I want my kids to go ice skating before they're too old. They don't want to go ice skating anymore. I used to watch it from my window. I used to watch people, nobody working, and spending money like crazy. And as you know, I got it built very quickly. This is well, maybe a more difficult. That was pretty easy, actually. We had cement mixers from the rink all the way back into Harlem. We poured one contiguous pour over a period of a day and a half. They would pour a little section, then another little section. And when they put water, it all leaked, surprisingly, you know. So it was fun, but I love construction. That's, I guess, why I like this a little, because we're going to have to redo it. So I'm honored to welcome exceptionally talented and committed group of patriots. You're amazing people. This is an amazing board, I'll tell you. And I get so many calls from people, could I get on the board? You have a lot of people that are not so much in love with me right now because I couldn't get them on the board. But because the board is taken. But we're going to turn it around, and the Kennedy Center Board of Trustees, you're here, and in many cases you have your spouses. And I want to thank Rick Grinnell. Where's Rick? Where is Rick? Hello, Rick. He did a great job. He used to walk into the Justice Department with stuff under showing all the horrible things that had gone on in our country. He had a lot of courage, and he's going to be with me for a long time, different things. He seems to be a troubleshooter. I say, how about Kennedy Center? Let's fix that one up. And tremendous strides have been made. You'll be hearing about that in a second. But I want to thank the entire board for the incredible work and all the fundraising efforts. We're going to raise some funds, but we're getting a lot of funds also from Congress because they want to see this thing good. You know, we have the 250th year anniversary coming up, and this building is going to be a primary focus in D.C., and it's got the potential for greatness. If it didn't, I wouldn't have done it, but it has a great plan. It's got great sound. It's got a lot of things that, you know, if you don't have good sound, you can forget it. You're never going to. They've been trying to do things over at Lincoln Center. All my life I've been watching. They rip it down, build it up, rip it down. You know, some of the greatest sound are buildings built in the 1850s out of pure marble. And you get up and you can just talk lightly and they hear you back 100 rows. But and if you don't have sound, I think there's a certain amount of luck. You hire sound engineers, they get a lot of money, and then you open the building and you can't hear anything. So we're going to do some good things, but the basics are there. The location is phenomenal. The importance of the building is phenomenal. And we'll have some very interesting plans. I always thought they should have built a beautiful performing center, open air, facing out over the Potomac. They didn't do that. They built these crazy rooms underneath. They built 3 tiny little stages, very expensive. Someday maybe somebody will occupy one. They're underground. In fact, when I looked from a distance, you know, you see these like hubs, concrete hubs, and I thought it was modern art, you know. Well, here we go with the modern art blocking everybody's view. And when I actually went over there, I said, no, it wasn't modern art. It was meant for a door to be in, so you go down to these rooms. So I don't know what the hell they were doing, but they spent a lot of money, and it's just not possible that they could have spent it so poorly. But we're going to turn it around. That's what I love doing. I love turning things around. Turnaround artist. I'm doing that with the country. Believe me, we're doing it. We're doing a job. We are hot. We are hot. The country is hot. We in a short period. Look, we've been there for 100 days plus a few days, and as they said, the king of Saudi Arabia said, your place, your country is a whole different image now. We were a laughingstock, an absolute laughingstock, but we're not a laughingstock any longer. And, you know, I was talking to, as I said, President Putin for 2.5 hours. That was being very seriously listened to. We don't like what's happening. We don't like that we should have ever been involved. Would have never happened. But we're respected again as a country. You know, one thing that I tell you that I think is amazing. If you remember about 8 months ago, the big story was that nobody wants to join our military. We couldn't have any, people weren't joining. And they weren't proud of our country. They weren't joining police forces all over the country, Houston, Dallas, all over the country, New York. And now we have a record-setting enlistment in the military. Think of that, record-setting. The most in 38 years, but it's probably more than that. They started taking the numbers, Susie, 38 years ago, right? But the most in 30 years, probably the most ever, I don't know. But we have record-setting young people that want to join the military, and that's incredible. To have that is just absolutely incredible. And to think that 8 months ago, we were all listening to the fact that this was before the election. 8 months ago, we were listening to the fact that we wouldn't have any, we wouldn't have anybody in our I mean, nobody. Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Space Force. I'm so proud of Space Force because we got that going. We started Space Force, and they wanted to terminate it, and the military backed up. And they said, you're not going to do that. We were third in space, and now we're number one in space by a lot. They've done a great job. They had some great commanders in Space Force. But, you know, ultimately it's going to be truly one of the most important things we've ever done, because it's all heading to space. And I'm not talking about just experimental things that we do, because a lot of people don't understand that. We can understand that. But we're, in terms of defense and offense of our country, it's going to be very, very important. We're number one in space by a long shot.